So I wanted to take another fresh look at the dollar for this week. Again, here currently at the end, towards the end of the day, we are getting a slight pullback, but that's absolutely normal as far as to end the day with a pullback after all of the bullishness that we've been experiencing for the past 10 weeks, this week being the 11th week. The other piece that I want us to point out is looking at the actual data. So today, what we had were for new home sales month over month, as well as for the actual new home sales, the number, the percentage was not only lower than the consensus, it was drastically lower than the consensus. So the prior number was 8% new home sales, which is normal, which is good. Then the expectation was that it would drop to a negative 1.7%. Instead of dropping to negative 1.7%, it dropped all the way to negative 8.7%, which is greater than the 8% positive that it was for the prior month. So again, a very large number that is very negative as far as when looking at and reflecting upon the U.S. economy and what's actually going on with the economy as far as new home sales purchases are concerned. And of course, we know that's because of the interest rates and kind of where things are as far as being above 7%. And then what happened the last time these rates were this high. But also what we see is we see with the new home sales, that new home sales, the expectation was for the number to be around 700,000, but instead it came in at only 675,000. Again, the prior number was 739,000. And so that number was missed and it dropped all the way down to 675,000 for new home sales. And so, again, a big miss on new home sales. So that could come back later on as far as playing a factor in some ways that other data that comes out later on. It could be one of those things where, okay, a big miss now in order for it to be something where later on it looks like a huge beat as far as later on. So we'll see kind of how that plays out. But what I wanted to look at for tomorrow is going to be for 8:30 a.m. We have the durable goods orders. And so we have that for defense. We also have that for transportation. And we also have that for month over month. So those numbers are bearish numbers, but they are not bearish from the standpoint of being worse than what they were before. So those numbers are going to come in and are expected to come in better than they were before, but still bad. So for defense, those numbers are expected to still be negative. So negative 1.3 is the consensus, whereas 5.4 was a negative 5.4 is where it was. And then for durable goods order, as far as transportation is concerned, those numbers were zero point 0.5. They're expected now to only be 0.1. So again, bearish there. And then for month over month, the percentage number is that it was down negative 5.2. And this time it is expected for the month of August to only be down 0.5. So a negative 0.5%. So with that being said, this news not being the type of news that causes for a breakdown, which is why, again, we are still bullish on the dollar. But what we were expecting is a pullback. So now the thing about pullbacks is that pullbacks can be relative. And so someone could easily look here and say, oh, well, this was a pullback. So this was a pullback here. But when I think of a pullback, I think of something that where it comes back at either retest the weekly open. So here we have the weekly open here at 105 575, and so that's where the week opened at. Or if the week started off kind of inside this minor quarter range, then a nice pullback would be something that will pull them back to this range prior. So this minor quarter on the other side at 105.25. So not getting the pullback that comes here, but the price continuing to go up, which again works out in our favor because again we're bullish on the dollar. We're just expecting a pullback on this week, and so far I would not say that we've received a pullback yet. Again, this is not the last of the news that is coming out this week. So we have the durable goods, but then also on Wednesday we end up having, I believe on Wednesday is those. It's the on Wednesday we end up having the numbers so we have the durable goods orders for Wednesday, and then on Thursday we have not only GDP, but we also have jobless claims. Those numbers are expected to be bearish as well, with later on Thursday Fed Powell speaking also. So all those things could end up stockpiling against the dollar in order to get that pullback. But again, we are bullish on the dollar. We've been bullish on the dollar for a while now. So again, with a pullback, that would just present better opportunities for us to buy in, as long as it doesn't flush. If it begins to flush, then that's when we have to reconsider our positions as it pertains to the dollar. But what we're expecting is just a nice pullback. We're expecting a nice pullback on the dollar that would give anyone who still isn't in opportunity to get in, and people who are in to get better positions for the next move up for the dollar. Because again, what we talked about before is that we are expecting the dollar to make it up to that next major quarter area. The next area that we talked about the dollar potentially pausing at was this 106 area. We are getting this pause that we talked about before at this 106 area. So again, that next area that we're looking up to is going to be that next major quarter area of 107.50. And so that's where we are looking to into the future. And so that's what we have as for our outlook for the dollar on this week.